I'm a big sucker for somebody that loves to start a series, loves to pick up a book and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I struggle to pick up the rest of the series. And the reason I struggle is because I'm always looking for new books to read. The part of me that enjoys reading is the part of me that likes buying and starting something new. I don't know what that is. I don't know whether it's a minor part of ADHD or anything like this, but it just means that I have therefore not gone on to actually finish too many book series or even continue many book series. So what I wanted to do is I've had a look through the books that I've started, I've had a look at some of the series that they are a part of, and then I've basically gone on and I thought, okay, this one looks so good, why have I not carried it on? And what I've got is I've got 6 book series for you today that I have started, or I've read a couple of the books in the series for, that I want to finish at some point. I want to continue all of them this year. Maybe I'll bring you along on my journey there. If you look at my shorts or my TikTok or my Instagram, I'll talk about them there. But basically, I want to continue these series. So let's get into the 6 book series I want to continue at some point. The first one is the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. This is supposed to be such a good series. The first book I really enjoyed. I got this last year when I had no idea what it was really about, apart from the fact it was a lit RPG and that everybody was raving about it. They were saying how fun it was, how funny it was, different terms, fun, funny. But either way, that is something that I'm really interested in. The series has then gone on to become massive. It's kind of in the same tier as another series I'm going to talk to you about today, where basically everywhere you go on Instagram, people are talking about it as, okay, it's probably one of the best-selling things at the moment. There's TV series coming out about it. There's films being talked about it, all this sort of stuff. And I am so excited at some point to pick up the rest of the series. If you don't know what Dungeon Crawler Carl is about, basically it's about the world getting overtaken by aliens, and then there's a chap called Carl and his ex or current girlfriend's ex-girlfriend's cat, who then gets turned into a different form of larger cat, and they basically have to go through these dungeon levels that this alien species have created to be a competition on their version of television. It's so cool, really funny. It's got that aspect of political intrigue where it's like, okay, we're actually doing something here that is bigger than us, but it's also got the bits that I love about kind of an RPG. You've got the leveling, you've got combat, you've got inventory, you've got skills, all this sort of stuff. It's really cool, really fun, and it is very much up my street. So I want to continue the series. I've only read the first one so far, but I know at some point I need to pick up the second one. The problem for me is a little one in that because they're hardback only in the UK at the moment, they don't do a paperback version. They're quite expensive. You're looking at about 18 to 20 quid for each individual book, which if you live in the UK is a lot of money for a book, no matter if it's a hardback or not. But either way, I do want to pick up the second one. I'm hoping with a birthday coming up, I may well be getting the second one. We will see. Either way, Dungeon Crawler Carl, that's the first on my list of the 6 books series that I want to finish / at least continue. Let's not commit to finishing. Next up is the Sun Eater series, beginning with Empire of Silence, and this is by Christopher Ruocchio. I don't know how to say his name, I don't want to butcher it. I'm hoping that's the best it's ever going to get from me. This is one of those series, again, that I hear so many positive things about. I hear people saying it's fantastic, it's an absolute must if you're in the kind of sci-fi / fantasy world. This is more sci-fi, I guess, but there is fantasy elements. But then sci-fi, I think, is just a subgenre of fantasy. Either way, that's off topic. This series is meant to be fantastic. This first book is very much an introduction. You get that there is a large scope to things here. There's a much bigger thing going on here. The intro to the book is basically, I've conquered the stars. I am huge. I am this incredible human being that has gone on to doing incredible things. And the first book is very grounded. It's very much about him just kind of leaving his initial home planet, establishing some friendship groups, establishing who the baddies are, how he's going to build himself up, that sort of thing. And that's very much what the first book is about. And I appreciated it. It was written really well. It was enjoyable. It had the elements of fantasy and sci-fi that I liked, the cool aspect, the introduction of culture and world. It did world building in a really good way, and then it did do a little bit of info dumping, enough to help you establish what's happening, but then also just built the world up in conversations. That's the best way to world build. If you're an author watching this, the best way to build a world is by having conversations. The characters converse with each other. That's the best way to do it, because then it isn't just an info dump. Even if it is an info dump, have it come as a piece of speech. Either way, really well done. The main character, really interesting as well. And then some of the sub-characters I can feel had the beginnings again. So the last kind of third of the book is very much the best bit of this kind of book. Not in a way that the first 2/3 aren't great, just the first 2/3 felt quite slow and we're kind of slowly crawling along. The final third's like, okay, now things are picking up. So I know the series gets better. I've heard fantastic things about it. I think there's about 7 books in the series, so there's plenty to go. There's plenty for me to read. So at some point I do want to get into those. So yeah, that's the Sun Eater series, which I've only read the first of so far with Empire of Silence, by Christopher Rocio. Next up is the Red Rising series. The Red Rising series is huge at the moment. If you are watching this video and you have not heard the term Red Rising at the moment, you must be living under some sort of bookish rock. If you haven't heard of it and you don't live under a bookish rock, apologies, I may have just insulted how much you know about books. Either way, it is huge at the moment. Pierce Brown is being interviewed left and right as to when the new book is coming out. This is a series that I have read the first 2 books of. I have read this and I have read Golden Sun, which is the second book in the series, and I thought this one was really interesting. It wasn't fantastic. It felt a little bit Hunger Gamesy in terms of you've got these young people and there's this big oppressive thing happening and they want to rise up and stop the oppressive thing happening. And then Golden Sun definitely felt a lot bigger. Now what I really want to do is I really want to do a reread of Red Rising and Golden Sun. I feel like I need to pick them up again, start them again, try them again. Last time I think I went into them quite negatively. I think I had the mindset of these are meant to be very, very good, but I don't think they're going to be very good, and that's the mindset I went into. If I go into the mindset of these are supposed to be very, very good and continue to get better, then maybe they get better. But either way, I'd probably give the first 2 like a 4 out of 5 stars, but I hear they only get better and better and better, getting grander and grander and grander. But I feel like that is what happens with a series. And I think people, once you read a series, you establish the world, the lore, the baddies, the goodies, all this sort of stuff. And thus you can then enjoy a lot more of the actual story and plot and things happening more, rather than having to try and worry about that. By the way, apologies for the light and then the lack of light. The sun's going in and out at the moment. So that's the Red Rising series. I think there's 6 or 7 in this already out as well. Pierce Brown is currently writing the last one, or not the last one, but the latest one. But he says it isn't anywhere near finished. It's not going to be finished this year. It's definitely not going to be published this year. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But at some point, as I said, I want to do a reread because I really want to bury myself into this. I've got friends in person who really, really enjoy this and have gone through the entire series as well. I've just binged that. They're different readers to me. They do pick up a series and binge the entire series. But either way, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, the series, is on this list of the 6 book series I really, really want to continue with at some point. This one, I think, as I said, I'm going to do a reread of. The next series I'm genuinely shocked I have not yet got round to finishing, and that is the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I read the first 2 books of this back to back quite a while ago now, probably 2 years or so ago. I remember absolutely adoring them, thinking they were fantastic, thinking they were this kind of mafia style gangster book, but with a little bit of kind of fantasy elements, this magic element to them, and it's set in like this Chinese culture. Basically the idea being there are like opposing clans and they have this thing called this Jade, which is kind of a power but no one really uses it, but it's traded like a drug and it's like illegal but also can be legal if used properly. I don't know, really, really cool. A lot of kind of powerful family dynamics. Who is going to be the next leader? I should be the leader, but I'm not the leader, so I'm now a bad person. Those sorts of mechanics going on that make for a really, really compelling fantasy book. And that is why I am shocked I've read Jade City and Jade War, but I've not yet read Jade Legacy. And again, as I said, my birthday's coming up soon. I'm hoping maybe it's on that list. If not, I may pick it up, and that may be a nice easy tick for me to be able to finish off and say I've done that. I understand this is being made into some sort of real life thing. I don't know. I'm not sure what it's being turned into, whether it's TV or film, or it might have been an animation. I don't know. Either way, it needs to be turned into that because it's so, so good. Really, really impressed with the first 2. And as I said, if you've not picked them up, I would. And then at some point I need to read Jade Legacy because I don't know how I've not finished it. These first 2 I loved and thought were fantastic. So yeah, at some point I will continue that series as well. So another trilogy that I am shocked I have not yet finished is the Misborn Trilogy, or the initial Misborn Trilogy, because technically there are more books after this first 3 books. But either way, Final Empire is the first one. Really, really enjoyed it. Fantastic introduction. This is, if you're wondering, what everybody recommends when they say get into Brandon Sanderson. Maybe don't start with The Way of Kings because you're looking at 800, 900,000 page books there. This is, I say, a lot shorter. This one's just over 500 pages, but a lot more easy to digest. We're basically looking at worlds that are a lot smaller, with fewer characters and a much simpler magic system. This works off metals, so basically each metal in the world gives you a certain power, but you have to be able to use the metals. And then you have people that start to be able to merge these metals and create kind of alloys, which then make them even more powerful. And it's really, really interesting. We follow a main kind of female character, and then there's this big bad villain. So it's very simple in its concept, but it's really, really cool. Brandon Sanderson just makes everything cool that he writes. So I've read the first 2. The second one kind of expands everything. It's like, okay, the world's bigger now. The metal and the magic is bigger now, and the prospects and the fears and the culture is larger. So yeah, That got really interesting, and then I really need to finish the final book in the trilogy, and I don't know how yet. I guess it's because they're long books. You dedicate probably 2 weeks to reading these at least. I listen to audiobooks, so 2 weeks for me of listening is actually quite a lot of time if you consider then at some point I have to try and finish some other books in the month, so I've got some things to talk about. But either way, the Misborn Trilogy, I do need to get round to finishing at some point. So yeah, that's Brandon Sanderson's Misborn Trilogy, is the 5th of my 6 book series I really want to continue at least. This one I can finish because it's only one more book. And then the last one I don't actually have a physical copy of is the Skyward series by, again, Brandon Sanderson. And if you are wondering, yes, I'm a big Brandon Sanderson fan. Pretty much everything I've read by him I found really cool, I found really interesting, and I really want to continue with the Skyward series. I have read the first 2 books in the series. It kind of feels like a Brandon Sanderson for slightly younger audience and is more sci-fi than fantasy. It's basically about a woman who's on a planet, or a girl who's on a planet that keeps getting attacked by aliens, and that's just been the culture and the way for ages. And then she basically finds out why they're attacking, and she finds out maybe they're not attacking for a negative reason. There's this big old history, this lore. All of this incredible stuff happens, and then the second book, she's kind of expanded and bigger things are happening. There are, I think, 4 books in this series in total. To be fair to me, when I read these first 2 books, they were the only books out. There wasn't a third and there wasn't a fourth. I know there are also novellas to fill out the rest of the world, which is so exciting to me. But I do really want to read this book because I remember enjoying one of these side characters so much. This kind of robot character has a fantastic sense of humor. So much so that I kind of like listened to it via the audiobook and was verbally and audibly and physically kind of chuckling along to myself at some of the things he said and smiling at some of the things that he said because they were so funny. So that's very rare for me to do with a character, because usually I'm quite like, you can't make me laugh via simple words. It's all about the action, the cadence, the way you say it, that sort of thing. But really funny. So I do want to pick that up at some point. So as I said, I have read Skyward and I have read Starsight, but I still need to read Cytonic and Defiant. So they're the other 2 I need to read. So yeah, really excited to get around to those at some point, but I haven't yet. But I do want to pick back up in that universe. So fun. I loved the first 2 books. So they're the 6 book series that I want to continue at some point, and I'm going to say in 2026. If you think about it, I only need to read 6 books to have continued each of them, or if we're talking Red Rising, maybe 7 or 8 or 9, because I maybe want to reread the Red Rising and the Golden Sun. Either way, I do want to pick all of them up at some point in 2026, or at least continue 1. There we go, there's a minuscule target for me to reach. Continue 1 in 2026. Let me know what book series you want to continue. Let me know what book series is sitting on your shelf, or is maybe even sitting on your shelf but sitting in your mind as a why did you not continue it? The first one was fantastic, why have I not read the second one? Or I've nearly finished a trilogy, just finished the last one. Either way, let me know down below what series you're hoping to finish at some point. Doesn't even have to be this year. Either way, thank you for watching. If you are new here, subscribe. If you are old here, drop a like and a comment. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.